Welcome to today's trade recap. Today is August 11th, 2026, and this is the setup I took last night, giving me $1,102.44, totaling to $5,512.40 across all 5 of my accounts. So let's get into it. Now, coming into the new day open, I'm a little split between my bias because, as you can see, the daily is holding us up to continue higher right here, respecting this gap, creating another bullish gap. And the 4-hour as well is also maintaining bullish order flow, inversing these gaps to the left and respecting this 4-hour bullish gap right down here. However, on the 1-hour, we're closing below these lows right here, and the same thing on the 30-minute. So I'm a little split. Now, my target for the day would have been either this daily gap or these highs up here. So I'm looking for us to either manipulate into the daily gap to then look for some sort of buy model up here, or look for some sort of sell model down to the daily gap from these lower time frames, like the 30 and 1-hour. So we ended up closing right into a 30-minute right here. And immediately I'm looking for some kind of sell once we do this right before market even closed. Now, before the market even closed, on the 1-minute right over here, we didn't get that. As you can see, we tap it right here, pull into it, pull back, pull up. We didn't really get a market structure shift or change in the state or anything. So once the market opens, I'm then looking for that. Now, once the new day opens, we manipulate higher, filling the entire 30-minute gap right over here. And I am then looking for some sort of sell once we get any kind of inversion, CISD, market structure shift, anything like that. So we end up getting this inversion right here. However, this wasn't enough for me in confidence to say we're going to go down to target my daily gap right down here or this 4-hour swing low, only because we have these equal lows right here and the new day opens right here. This could be a potential point to where we reverse off of to then maybe continue higher after that. Now, once we inverse this gap, especially with this good displacement, this is enough added confidence that I want to take a short when we either close below this or maybe pull back into here to then continue lower. So what we end up doing is pulling back into this gap right here as this bearish fair value gap. So I'm looking for any kind of entry displacement out of this to then go down here and target this 4-hour low, previous day low, and the daily fair value gap. Now, once we displace through this, I can immediately see that we close below these equal lows with displacement. We're respecting this wick we put in into this bearish fair value gap with displacement. So I take a sell position right here after we close down, putting my wick. It should be at the protected high since that's what should keep holding us down. However, that would be negative R for my targets. And after we get this displacement and this pullback and then this displacement, it's enough for me to put my risk on the table saying this wick should be protected in this gap. Now, as you can see, that ends up being the case. I only target right down here, and I did size up during this since usually I would size my entire position to cover all the way up here. It was just here, so to me this was sizing up. And as you can see, we chop around a little bit, and I go break even right when we sweep out this right here, and we end up chopping before hitting full TP right there. Now, I ended up trailing only because I was sized up a lot more than usual. And I ended up getting tagged out before we chopped and hit full TP, I think around like somewhere right there. And then this ends up hitting the daily gap after we chop around a little bit, and we hit a full daily gap right there for a full TP of 3.53R. Now, once we hit this daily gap, I would then be looking for some kind of buy model. And to me, that's when the 15-minute decides to flip, showing us that we're going to be bullish. So later in the day, I paper traded this, but I wasn't actually in this. But once we get this 15-minute after Asia, we inverse this 15-minute right here. I would enter this right here. I paper traded this here. Stop at Asia low. That should be protected. Now, since this is a 15-minute move sponsored out of a daily, my full TP was at London high up here. Now, I didn't really pay too much attention to it since I was paper trading, but it does get pretty far up there before London pulls back up, and the New York AM just completely stops it out, and now we're in the current day. But I most likely would have been break even on this trade after we pulled back here, hitting some bearish gaps to the left. But overall, pretty textbook day, I would say. And yeah, that's the setup I took. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, feel free to comment them down below, and have a great day.